Penthouse Barbecue presents Beyond the Smoke.
Welcome to Beyond the Smoke, the podcast where we talk barbecue, business, and the stories behind the smoke. I'm Phil Henn.
And I'm Joanna Henn, and today we're going behind the scenes with someone who keeps Henn House Barbecue running smoothly, our online operations manager, Lucas.
From orders to social media, logistics to strategy, Lucas is the guy who makes sure the smoke doesn't just look good, it reaches you. Lucas, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Woohoo! That was awesome. Just for everyone that doesn't know, that was their first go at it. And I think they did a pretty great job. So everyone just give them a hand of applause. Like, this is awesome. They said, "Look, we want you to be our first guest." And I said, yes. And I'm excited about that.
We are so excited to have you, and we've definitely got a lot of questions about all that magic that happens behind the computer screen.
Lucas has been instrumental in helping Henn House Barbecue grow beyond Altona.
Today, we're not just talking tech, we're talking brains, challenges, and funny behind-the-scenes moments. If you've ever wondered what it takes to manage a growing barbecue brand digitally, this episode is definitely for you.
Here we go, Lucas. Question number one. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your role at Henn House Barbecue?
Yes, my name is Lucas. I am 38 years old. I am a dad, father of 3. I have a wife, Christian, go to church, and I live in Ottawa, Illinois. And I grew up kind of in the service scene. I was in restaurants a lot. But then as I got a family, I was trying to figure out how to make life work on a different level and got into online operations, which then eventually led me to Henn House Barbecue.
And you kind of dipped into this question already, but what drew you into working into the barbecue industry specifically?
Well, I think the thing is that the barbecue industry accepted me as because of you guys were the first ones for me too. You know, like as I was trying to get into online operations, I was looking for ideal client that was also at the beginning of their journey in online operations. You know, because they didn't really have any. So I just threw out some content online. I remember on social media, hey, this is what I can do. And if you're a business owner, I didn't specify it to barbecue. I just said, if you're a business owner and if this sounds like a good thing, like if what I'm saying that I can do online sounds like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I don't have it. I want it. I need it. You know, let's go. Like that's who I was looking for. And it's just kind of like fishing, you know, you cast out the
Well,
rod.
let's do it.
And I remember Phil being like, that sounds great, you know? And so, and it didn't all start at first. I think we'll have some more questions coming up about social media and stuff and how to attract and things like that. But it was more of a barbecue accepting me and me being willing and like flexible and however I could be to try to fit into the barbecue industry instead of me trying to be like, I want barbecue first. Barbecue said, we'll take you.
Very cool. We are glad to have you. Was there a specific moment in talking all this out that you realized, I think this could be more than just a job?
Yes, and it probably that part probably came before Henn House Barbecue. I saw when I went to shift my career into online operations. I saw a industry that I wanted to get into. I was in the property management industry, and I saw my end, which was a real estate agent, I think, or like the owner of a property management company, which I did not want to be. And I didn't want to be a real estate agent. So I became very intentional in looking into places that I wanted to be in. And at first it was high ticket sales, specifically online to become location independent. COVID happened and that realization could happen. A lot of opportunities just became revealed. You know, they might have always been there, but now they're revealed and we can see them. And so what I saw with this particular role as an online operations manager was a healthy work-life balance for myself. And that's what I needed for my family. And so when you ask the question, when would this become just more than a job? Like I saw it. And then when Henn House Barbecue came, we got together. And I think we'll explain more about this down the line. It was taking time to work with one another to connect in ways that were beneficial for each other and finding that rhythm of how we worked back and forth, especially online, right? Where you're not seeing each other every day. I guess maybe when the money comes in and you can pay the bills, that's like a good feeling.
Yeah.
It's
But
it's not
you
like I
also brought
come
in
to work. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was just saying you also brought in though, like all of those previous jobs, you brought in skill sets from all of those previous jobs that you then used and you're bringing to the table, which is also nice.
Yeah, I guess maybe just like the definition of what a job is. I don't feel like I have that. I don't know, that feeling of I gotta go to work.
Go to
Like,
work. Yes. It just sits there.
All right,
But
Lucas, I asked this question cautiously. What does your typical day look like for you running online operations? When I give you a
you know,
dumb to do and you just doing your thing.
you sent the questions over and I got this question and I'm like, man, how much do I want to pull my own curtain back? But I'm coming at this as more strategic as well, which is, I'm both an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur. So I'm an entrepreneur because I wanted to start my own online operations company, but I'm an entrepreneur because I work with Phil and Joe on Hen House Barbecue, and that's their entrepreneurial mindset, but I'm coming in with the skill set to boost them, and that's entrepreneurship, and I love that space. And I love to come in where I have, like I said, a skill set that provides value to the company in a way that allows them to grow, to scale, whereas before they weren't able to. So I think this is a good time for this story here. At the beginning, when I first found Phil, like his system of keeping track of clients was spreadsheets and sticky notes, and in the world of space of sticky notes, there's only so much space you can have. And then they all start to look the same. And who wants to go back to sticky notes? So you try spreadsheets, and that's okay for a little bit. But then it's just a whole bunch of manual keeping track and clicking. And you're still spending I don't want to quantify it. You're still spending the amount of time you're spending just clicking people back and forth that you were spending on the sticky notes. And that's just frustrating. Then, correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, the feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm losing out on business because I'm not keeping up,
Yeah.
sets in.
Yep, exactly.
And
or not getting back to people because something got lost.
or not knowing where they're at in the process. You get 3 bills and all of a sudden like chaos happens. So, and there's no visualization. There's no like, how do we receive people? How do we see where they're at? How do we get them to where we want to go in the time we want them to go there? And that's, I know there's questions down the line that we'll talk more about that as well. But back to what does a typical day look like? Okay, so part of me getting in online operations in the way I did was, and I know this is going to be hard for a lot of people and probably a lot of listeners, maybe even you and Joe to an extent, but I think you get the mindset. And I told you this up front. It's switching off of getting paid for time. It's not thinking I get paid this amount of money per hour. It's I get paid this amount for X, which is a value perspective. My value perspective to Phil was, hey, all those leads that you're losing because you're not getting back to them, we're gonna get them because we're going to keep track of them now, and we're going to communicate to them, and we're going to be able to make it easy to know who we're talking to, who we're talking about, where they're at, why they're getting a hold of us. We're going to make that part really, really easy. And then what else we're going to make easy is like getting payment, right? What's all this about? It's about getting paid to an extent. Okay. Like I get the love and the, seeing people eat your food and that part, but getting paid is important. And like, how does that process look? And is it happening fast? Like, what's the fastest way we can get paid? How does that happen? Create the system for that to happen on repeat, ideally without a lot of manual intervention. And that's really where the time starts to get saved, as well as being able to make more money. I know it sounds like a sky in the pie pipe dream a little bit, but there's proof in the pudding that instead of having manual operations sticky notes, maybe dabble in the computer a little bit, you know, paper contracts, paper checks, although there are some benefits to doing that in the way you receive them and the way you handle them and the communications that go out that set expectations and how to send them, when all that stuff can also then be automated and not have to be manually sent and kept track of time after time after time, it allows you to take on more business. And that's the game we're in, you know, and then everything goes online. Contracts go online, they sign online, payments go online, they get options to send checks, but it's all again automated, or they can pay online and all that's set up. And then, you know, then you get that's the whole point. You get the time to, hello, I'm interested, to here's my money. So then again, back to the question, what does my day look like? Setting all that up, I spent between 6 to 10 hours a day for quite a few months, dialing that in, getting the big picture. Again, Phil didn't have anything. Hen House Barbecue didn't have anything. And that was a beautiful place to be in, to be able to bring in a whole system and kind of from the bottom floor grow up. Some places already have software already in, and that's hard to get out. I understand. So it was a blessing to not have that.
But he was
But
also
once
able to
that
kind of tell you what he wanted though, right? Like, here's what I've got. Here's what I want it to be. Here's really what I need you to make it do. Can you figure it out?
Precisely. And that was a beautiful thing. And it was a back and forth conversation. And because there was nothing already written for it, there was nothing already in place for it. It was cool because it was, all right, here's the problem. Like for men, we love this. Here's the problem. Find a solution. I was like, on it, you know, get the solution. Phil, here's the solution. Do you like it? He's like, yeah, perfect. I'm like, ding, you know, win. And what's beautiful in online operations, and this is part of the reason why I chose this industry to be in, is it's like a car. You know, you build it, and then when it builds, it runs. And so to answer the question, day to day now, it's listening for dings or listening for sputters or getting an email from Phil saying, hey, this happened. Can you check into it? Or sometimes getting a text message saying, hey, this is happening. Can you check into it? Which is fine. That doesn't happen all the time, but the system is running, you know, and for that part of my role with Hen House Barbecue, um, the day to day again is just listening for dings. We've optimized it to a place that we really like it. We might want to change out something down the road. You know, maybe some of the communications we send out, we want to revisit, revamp, or maybe some of the ways that we do things, we want to revisit, revamp. It's an ever growing process. It's never finished. But for operations, for my data, it's maintenance. It's maintaining. I'm in maintenance mode now. I'm Phil's serviceman on the ops. He's got any questions, any breakdowns? There's no like, oh no, I don't know what to do. Reach out to me. I either fix it or I have a network of people. I find the person that fixes it, you know, and we make that happen. But then I also do social media. So that's a whole nother part of Hen House Barbecue that I'm a part of.
So, any recurring headaches that have surprised you?
Not particularly, no. I've accepted a long time ago that technology, computers, while they're in their simplest form, binary, which is 1 or 0, like it can't be anything else. It's one or the other. Therefore, there should be no mistakes. Again, humans built them, so mistakes happen. Computers just mess up. The rate's a lot lower than humans, but they do just not work sometimes. So I don't have this headache with you, but I can imagine having a client where something doesn't work and they get really flustered because they think it should all the time. And I'm just here to say that in all technology, that's just not the case. Hopefully there's some fallbacks. And that's the thing, is when a mistake happens at some point somewhere, it's a chance to go in and make it better. You know, it's either restore it to its initial state, or it's to be like, okay, this isn't working. What's a different way we should, you know, process this? And usually it leads to a better result in the end anyways. It's just when those micro mistakes happens, like we have some Phil with communications going out when they shouldn't, setting all the filters of when people receive communications. Sometimes mistake happen, and Phil's real patient with me, but for me personally, it's an exercise for me to continually be like, okay, let's get back in. Let's find the source of the mistake. Why is this happening? Sometimes it's real simple, real easy. Sometimes it's in our control. Sometimes it's out of our control, mostly in our control though. And we're able to pivot and usually make it better than it was before.
And I think from our standpoint, I feel like, again, from our perspective, it's really nice to have somebody who wants to figure out the source of the problem instead of just saying, "Oh yeah, let's just patch that for now. We'll fix the current problem, but we'll come back to it." You really do, like you said, you dive in, you try and find the source of that problem, make it right or make it better, and then we can just move on. And that's very much appreciated.
You're welcome. Thanks.
So Lucas, tell me, if somebody gets in, is interested in trying to figure out this whole catering thing and barbecue catering, how does somebody get interested? And then what does that look like on your end of things?
Sure. So
They bring it home.
this can be a really long answer. I'm going to try to give the brief main points, but it's the customer journey, right? The client journey. And Phil and I wanted to create a really nice one for people to go through in catering, whether they're getting catering for their wedding, which is a really important date, or their boss and all the people, which is a really important date. You know, we wanted the catering part of it to feel premium and hands off, right? And so usually now we filter everyone into a singular point, because part of controlling the chaos is getting everyone coming through controlled doors. So to fill out a catering inquiry is very important. It also filters the leads. Now we're going to talk some business jargon, right? It filters the leads because you don't want everyone coming in the door and wasting your time. Right? So filling out this catering inquiry, which takes 8 minutes, that's a commitment in this world, right? And also we ask people to schedule calls with Phil at the end, which is really important. 15-minute call. It's not a sales call like order our catering. It's, hey, let me ask you some questions about your event to make sure I'm on the same page, make sure we have a menu that we agree upon so that we know we're talking about pricing wise. I can let you know some things like, hey, you chose brisket. That pricing is like really variable right now. It's high. It could get higher. Just want to let you know that. And we can have that conversation so that when I give you a quote, it matters. It's not a quote just out of nowhere. We have a firm understanding. So I think that's really important part of catering process that a lead comes into. And then after that phone call, I think most people kind of know whether they're leaning towards us or not. And so, but part of that is 30-day. We place the cap on how good that quote was for, because if we didn't, then it lasts forever and then we get really sticky. 30 days is like, hey, this quote's good for 30 days. If you need longer than 30 days, just another 15-minute phone call. We don't know what's going to change between now and 6 months, So, but part of that is following up with them in that 30 days. One of the things I think we've done that is really important, and I'm talking business people here, been able to stay at top of mind of our clients and customers because of our communications, but it hasn't been because Phil has spent, as the owner, has been spending, or whoever does communications has been spending a bunch of time emailing the same thing back and forth between everybody. Like those same things, we know what those communications normally are. And so we create templates that we still want to personalize as best as possible, that have their names and everything on it. But we create templates of those normal communications, those back and forths that we know the information either we want to communicate or that we're most likely receiving. And we want to just put those on automation, have the robots do the work, have the robots click the buttons. We live in that age where the computer can do a lot of this heavy lifting that used to take manual intervention. Is there a case for manual intervention sometimes? Yes. Can anyone reach us via email or phone at any time? Yes, that's totally possible. But we're just talking about the mundane. Hey, what's your final guest count? Hey, here's a bill that you have. Hey, this, that, the other. Those hey moments, or like, hey, it's been 29 days and you haven't, accepted a quote. Like, give us an email if you need to talk, reach out, or accept the quote, or just letting you know that tomorrow your quote's going to expire. Like, where do you want to go from here? All that stuff, like, it doesn't need a person behind it sending it. That sort of stuff can be automated, and we've got that system in there. It boosts sales because of follow-up.
Like
Follow-up
productivity,
works.
communication. Yeah. Perfect.
Right. It's a win in sales because of follow-up works. It's also a win in time management because you're being more productive elsewhere as an owner on your business. And so then once we get them through that quote process, they accept the quote. When they accept the quote, they give us a little more information. And from there, we send them an invoice. When we have that information, they receive the invoice, they pay online. Now, while all this is happening, we have statuses of where they're at in the pipeline. So in our CRM, which is a customer relation management, that's what CRM stands for. We want to manage our customer relations. You can visually see everyone has a contact card, and all that information is imported automatically when they fill out the catering inquiry. As they're going through the process of sales, it's going column by column, so we know who was what and when and where. It's just it's a beautiful thing, because people get out on the other side, they have their catering, and this is an answer that I know I'm going to say at a later question. They get out on the other side of their catering, and they just think it was awesome. Like, we have the reviews. We have over 130 reviews, and 125 of them are 5-star. If you have a wedding, work with them. If you have a corporate event, work with them. They make it easy, work with them. You need the proof, work with them. And that's the whole process, getting those reviews as well. As a business owner, are you getting those reviews to have the social proof? Because that's important in the buyer's mind, and all that reputation management. So we talk about online operations. It's a huge world, and I'm blessed that I work with you guys in terms of having owners that care and want to do good. You want to provide a great service. You want to provide great food. You want to do it a high excellent standard. And it takes that to get there, but it shows. That's the brief highlights of the customer journey as they enter into catering from Hen House Barbecue.
Yeah, I mean, just touch on CRM for a minute. There's so much automation in our system. If you're listening and you're bogged down by just your day-to-day things to do, what I really like is all the automations we have. Just to send emails to, there's hundreds of automations we have, and it's been great. It's given me my life back a lot.
Well, and
a
able
lot.
to put that focus into other places that
Yeah.
it really belongs.
Yeah. Yes.
And, going back to, you talked about initially you were working, those 6 to 10 hour days, some of those with us at our place, just trying to hammer it out and get it done. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of lines of code that you had to write to figure all that out. And I probably don't want to know, but it's all come together nicely, because I don't know how many ones and zeros and all the other things, but because that's not my world, but I know it's a lot.
I'll just say thank God for the world of technology, and there's lots of levels to it, and we're all on different levels. And I'm just a few levels different than you. And then there's a lot of guys that are different levels than me. So thank God that we all work together.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
for sure.
So you kind of touched on this earlier. As most people know, social media is huge for us. How do you keep our online presence consistent and engaging?
Yeah. So 2 years ago when I started this with you guys, like, I didn't really know anything else to do besides just aim to get high quality content out at a consistent rate. So we agreed on once a day posting and just go as best as we can with that, which we did. And that got us to a certain level. I think we have tried some campaigns with reels and things like that, some trends and things. We haven't really caught fire yet, but I think that's part of what this podcast, what we're doing right now, is for. What we're doing right here is a setup for another growth point using media content strategy, because you're probably going to see this clip on Facebook, right? We're creating content for our social media engine, to draw you then to get to know us, whether it's from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and then drive, the theory is, right, drive everyone to YouTube. That creates the evergreen content, and as long as there's the interest there, it pulls it back. So we're just following the playbook. You see a lot of these other people creating podcasts and things, and I think what's really cool about Phil and Joanna doing this with Hen House Barbecue is, they're going to become the experts in their scene. And when I say scene, definitely Galesburg, Altona, obviously, and like County, right? They're going to be the experts, getting everybody that's in the event space onto these shows behind the smoke, right? But that's going to draw interest then from some larger cities, I think, like Peoria and the Quad Cities. You're going to start sneaking in, when you have this type of content on your social media, blasting, and then people from those bigger cities are going to see you and be like, okay. And then when you reach out to them, or they reach out to you and be like, hey, can I do this? Like, you're going to be like, yeah, and and they're the types of people that are going to be around people that have 250, 350, 450 person events. And that's what we're going for.
So Lucas, we see all the finished products of everything online and all the pictures and the videos and all this cool, crazy cool content. But how is it that how is it working with the rest of the team, making all this crazy cool stuff happen? And how does that feel? What's your role like there?
Yeah. So I'm really blessed with kind of the role I have with Hen House Barbecue and you guys in terms of, okay, I have my online operations part that I run from home, and that's for the most part, we just see that online. Like Phil and I, when we do our reporting sometimes, or we have a G Meet because we just need to visualize what we're seeing on the software side. So that's one blessing. But the other the blessing I have is I get to show up at any Hen House Barbecue event as a Hen House Barbecue representative, and I'm all geared up and everything. And usually I have a camera on a gimbal, and like I'm taking content, whether it's at things like the rodeo, like the New Windsor Rodeo is one of my favorite places to take content at, or feeding 700 people at Dick Blick picnic event, all the way to one of my favorite ones are weddings, because you're at somebody's thought about most important day, and I'm taking content of the catering of the food, which is just an interesting position to be in because you have someone else taking content of the wedding, but the perspectives I'm trying to get are way different, and I just get to be this guy that just gets to go anywhere I want to go and have a purpose. And that's just a really cool feeling, in creating content that's going to get watched by thousands of people. We're not hundreds of thousands, millions yet, which will tie into the next question, I think. But like, we got thousands of views. People watch our stuff, and to be able to be part of that is really neat, and get along with the Hen House crew. So obviously there's Phil and Joe, but they have a whole crew as well. And I've done some one-on-one work with some of them, getting content, video line walkthroughs as they're like verbalizing what's on the line, or Hen House Barbecue stories, or other things. And everyone, for the most part, who are the younger guys who are
The
engaged in
younger
social
generation.
they like to do it, and so then I become like a director, and so now I'm in director mode, and I'm like, okay, here's the scene, here's what we're going for, here's what the script I think should go. And one of my favorite times was with you have to remind me his name, at Dick Blick, the Peyton.
Yep,
I was with
Peyton.
Peyton on the line. He was saying what was on the line and going through what was on the line as we were walking down it. And we were coming up with the script like together as we were doing it. And then it gets to the end and he says the ending. And then I think this ending would sound cool too. So we get back to a point where it kind of like, I can fade it in and, wave to another ending. And we did like 15, 20 endings. And he just was like, yeah, let's like try this line. Let's go into that line. Like that stuff's really, really cool. And like to be that guy that gets to do that, like that's neat. I won't do this for any other company. You guys are the only ones I'm going to do the social media part for, if anyone's wondering. But because that is labor of love, and just having that, like I'm a pop up. Like I'm not a day to day in Hen House in terms of presence, but I pop up on certain days, like when there's 4 weddings and I know everybody and we're saying hey and catching up and hugs, and then we got a production to put on, and to be a part of that production is really neat.
And you talk about, popping up in different places and all the crazy spots you get to go. I'm interjecting an extra question here. What's some of the
All right.
craziest places that you've been to take pictures? Because I've seen some of those pictures from in between railings, from like balconies and attics and all these crazy different places in these barns that we've been to, right?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I tend to try to find a place that says "Do not enter" that has a purpose, like because it goes to somewhere, and then I try to see if I can go there.
You go
So
where
a
you're not
couple
to go.
places, the stage at the Knox County Fair a couple years ago when the big name guy was playing. I'm not a big country guy, sorry, but the scene was cool. I mean, it was packed out, everything, and like I'm just on the stage with a bottle of barbecue sauce, taking pictures at like different points with like and like drums and stuff, and
Yeah.
no one's saying nothing, like confidence. You just got to go and do it, and wait till someone tells you that you can't, and then still try to be like, are you sure?
Yeah.
You know? Oh, but I'm with the cake, but we feed people, don't we have the food, you know? So that was a really fun one, and then, yeah, the barns that you talk about, a lot of these wedding venues just are in these great spaces, and a lot of them have lofts. So how do you get a really cool photo where you're one of my favorite pictures, I'm gonna post it here soon for anyone, listening or have you seen it, um, is a picture of the sauce on a ledge overlooking, because it's on a balcony, and looking down at a bride and a groom dancing, and the bride and the groom are blurred, like, it could be anybody, could be you. And then the barbecue sauce, is this is brought to you by Hen House Barbecue. This is that. Doing those sorts of things are really, really neat.
Awesome. Very cool.
Lucas, looking forward, what do you think will be the next big opportunity for online growth?
Yeah. Especially, I'm in two phases, one with Hen House Barbecue, and that is what we're doing right here. Either through numbers, if we ever get viral, okay, I think we're ready to handle it. Also, if we don't get viral, I think we'll get to the part where we're speaking to the correct people that have the referrals to get us the high numbers. I think this is it. And or at least a really good try at it, So that'll matter to the bottom line. Also going viral will too. And again, either way, both will bring success, and it can be both. That'll be great as well. That being said, I think some things are going to break in the system, but like the system's there and it's not going to fail. Like we're going to figure out real quick where a couple weak spots might be, but I don't think there's going to be many weak spots. I think the system is going to be able to handle not hundreds of inquiries, but thousands. And when that comes, buckle up your seatbelt. Let's go, So I think that's really neat. So that's in Hen House. Online growth for A1 Strategic. I'm hoping this podcast, what we're doing right here, let some small business owner, whether in the barbecue catering scene, you have the mentality as a business owner, niche down, and that's how you find them. Sometimes I feel though it's just good to leave things open. So I hope this reaches the small business owner that's like, okay, yeah, I recognize myself where I was at with Phil. I have a good business. I am successful. I want to grow though, but I'm running on sticky notes and spreadsheets, and it's driving me crazy. Like that's the pitch. There you go. You don't want that anymore. Like so, obviously growth for me can be somewhere in that with an extra client. I also want to just throw out real quick too. Another area of online growth, as we are in this AI world now, that's robots having the robots click the buttons, instead of having humans have the robots click the button. And so that's like a whole new field. And part of that is interaction, it's communication. They call them avatars, but there are avatars now that could have this conversation, albeit a little slower, with you, with that avatar having a knowledge base, and it's a visual and audio, and it could be a clone of exactly me. So I have an AI app project that is in that space, and that's looking. Some days it looks really promising. Some days I'm like, but I think overall it's going to do well. So those are my big online growth areas.
Very awesome. Lucas, this has been awesome. We really, really appreciate you and everything you've done. Thanks for giving our listeners a sneak peek behind the curtain at Hen House Barbecue.
And the work you do, for us online makes it possible for, people across the country, not only to know who we are, but taste our barbecue. And it's really it's fascinating to hear how it all comes together, and especially from your perspective. So thank you.
For our listeners, follow Lucas and the team at henhousebarbecue.com. Follow us on social media and stay tuned for more episodes of Beyond the Smoke.
And if you're a small business owner and you're looking to expand your online operations, click this link right here. This will take you to my calendar. Schedule a 15-minute call, and we'll see if we're good for working with each other.
Thanks for joining us on Beyond the Smoke. Subscribe, share, and leave a review if you enjoyed the behind-the-scenes episode. Next time, we'll dive into more barbecue stories, tips, laughs straight from the pit.